The theme of the conference, as you all know, is about the importance of not giving up hope and not despairing. Because it's not a quality of a Muslim to give up hope and to despair, especially the Muslim who knows who Allah is. If he knows Allah, then he knows Allah is ala kulli shayin qadir. He can help. So committing suicide and taking that way out is not acceptable. The person will be punished if Allah wills, because it was an example of him not knowing Allah. The Prophet mentioned sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ثلاثة يدعون الله فلن يستجاب له. 3 people make dua to Allah and Allah won't answer their dua. The first person he mentioned, رجل كانت تحت امرأة سيئة الخلق فلم يطلقها. That's the man who's married to a woman who has very, very, very bad akhlaq, and he won't divorce her. This hadith is not talking about my wife, it's not talking about your wife. Been married to my wives for some time. They get upset with me, they get angry, and maybe I will see or hear something from them that is not okay. But they know their limits. But she may get upset. So I don't want anyone to take this hadith to think that this hadith is talking about the Muslim woman who's making jihad, doing more for the children and more for the Ahlul Bayt than the husband is. This hadith is not talking about her. This hadith is talking about the man who's married to a really bad woman. She doesn't listen, she doesn't practice, she may even go out and do things behind his back, and he won't divorce her. Although that relationship is toxic, it creates problems for him, for the children. He swears, he's fighting. The point of that hadith is Allah won't accept his dua because he has weakness in his tawakkul. He says, I love her, and so he won't get a divorce, although she's causing him to go to the nar of Jahannam. So the point here is, the Muslim is the person who has to have tawakkul on Allah. He doesn't give up hope. There's always help coming. So what I want to talk about today is really important in terms of not giving up hope. And I really want to address some of the younger brothers who, because of their youthful exuberance, lack of experience, ignorance, they make decisions. Young people make decisions that are a problem. And that's why there's a hadith that is weak, is fabricated, that said being young is like being majnoon. That's not authentic, but it has some truth to it. Young people make decisions, and those decisions come back to haunt them. We've all done that, everybody here. And that's why the hadith is important as this masjid moves forward and the jam'iyyah of Ahlul Hadith moves forward. The hadith said, Al-baraka ma'akabirikum. The blessings are with the elders. Doesn't mean the elders don't make mistakes and they have all of the answers, but the more experience you have, the more calm you are. That's why you'll never find a person who's older ever going with a bomb to blow innocent people up and to kill them in London or anywhere else. Talking about that's jihad. That's jihad, Palestine, Iraq. No older person is going to do that. The one who does that is a teenager, the one in his early 20s, young people. The Prophet described the youngsters, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or the Khawarij, Hudathal Asnam, Sufahal Ahlam. They are young in age and they have crazy ideas. Crazy. So today's talk is geared mostly to the youngsters, brothers and sisters, who make decisions that are a problem. But it's also for everybody here, because everybody here is going to be touched by this. What I want to talk about is, living in this dunya, all of us are going to be confronted with situations where we're going to be forced and we're going to be compelled to do things that are haram, things that may be from the kaba'ir, like taking a mortgage and riba, is a kabira from the kaba'ir, but a person may be compelled. All of us are going to be faced with a situation where you go to court, and in the court, when the judge comes in, the guy in charge of the court, he says, all rise, and everybody has to stand up out of respect for the judge who's not a Muslim. Abdullah bin Abbas, he said, when the Prophet used to come to us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we would not stand up for him because we knew he hated that. It was a sign of social hypocrisy. You'll stand up for this one, but you won't stand up for that one. He said, "Man ahabba an-nas an yatamathala lahu qiyaman falyatabawwa maq'adahu min an-nar." Anyone who expects and wants people to stand up for him, let him prepare his place in the hellfire. Because it's a sign of arrogance. But we'll stand up for the Amir of the Jam'iyyah, and we'll stand up for the Imam of the Masjid and the Hafiz. But when the African revert or the white revert or someone comes miskeen, we won't stand up for him. And that's not from brotherhood. That's not from. So you go to the court, you shouldn't stand up for the judge. So I go to the court. They accuse me of something. I go in the court, I'm black. I got one strike against me. Before I even get through the door, they see my clothes, I'm a Muslim, 2 strikes against me. They didn't even hear my case. And then when the judge comes in, all rise, I sit there. They say, Mr. Zahabi, why you don't stand up? Prophet Muhammad, I don't stand up for anybody. 3 strikes, you're out. Put them under the jail. So now I'm forced to stand up. Something I don't want to do. And they may ask me, swear on the Bible. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. But you're compelled to do things. And that's why it's important that we get knowledge of our religion and not be those people who always are asking questions and we don't learn for ourselves, so that you can get the fiqh of being compelled. It's not up to you and your desires to say, I'm compelled, I'm not compelled, and you're ignorant. You have to know your religion. So anyway, as it relates to our community, the sister from Halifax, her father, mother, forced her to marry her cousin. She doesn't want to marry her cousin, and it's not permissible for her mother and father to force her to marry her cousin. In 2023, this is still happening. 1445. And Al-Mustafa, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, said, La tujbiru, fatayatikum ala al-nikah. Don't force your daughters to get married. So she's forced into the marriage. She's compelled. How does she deal with it? The lady is married to a Muslim husband who's a tyrant. He doesn't know the hudud of Allah. But if she doesn't listen to what he wants and when he wants it and how he wants it, she may get divorced or she may get beat up. So she's compelled. So everybody is going to be in a situation. Everybody. But I want to address the youngsters who make decisions due to compulsion that jam up their situation. Like, we want you guys to go to the university and to get educated and to help your families first and foremost and to help the community of Al-Islam. We need people who know about the issues of the dunya in the West. All of us can't have fish and chip joints. All of us can't be taxi drivers. All of us can't be those type of, people who have those jobs. There's nothing wrong with that. But if all of us were that, we're a problem. It's a problem. We need Muslims who are going to be professors. Muslims who are going to be in the critical parts of the society to help the Muslims. So listen, the young boy, he's in his 3rd year of the university. And he becomes religious, starts practicing, and he says, I am not going to continue my university because there's ikhtilat in the uni with boys and girls. Sometimes I have to sit with 2 girls or 3 girls in order to do my experiment. My professor is a lady and she's standing in front of me, and Allah told me to lower my gaze. So I'm in the classroom and I'm lowering my gaze and I'm there, but I'm not there. So he drops out because he's compelled. I say to you, no. When a Muslim is compelled in this deen, Allah Azza wa Jal, who from his names, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, 113 surahs of the Quran start with the Basmala. He is Al-Latif, he's Al-Halim. Al-Halim is gentle and kind, like your mother. The mother is different from the father. The father has little tolerance, whereas the mother can be tired, but she always has time for her little baby, to be gentle. Allah is Al-Halim. Allah Ta'ala is Al-Latif. The dua for Laylatul Qadr, Allahumma innaka afuwun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. You pardon me, you love pardon, so pardon me. Listen to what Allah said about everybody here. وَلَوْ يُؤَاخِذُ اللَّهُ النَّاسِ بِمَا كَسَبُوا مَا تَرَكَ عَلَيْهَا مِنْ دَابَّةٍ وَلَكِنْ يُؤَخِّرُهُمْ إِلَىٰ أَجْلٍ مُسَمًّى. If Allah were to hold everybody on the face of the earth responsible for what they did, He wouldn't leave a single person on the face of the earth. Not one. But He gives them a chance until a particular day. So that's our Lord. Our Lord doesn't want to make things difficult for you in the university, in your marriage. He'll try you, but He didn't legislate a religion to make things difficult upon us. يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. He said, Allah wants ease for you. He doesn't want difficulty for you. That's why you can combine your prayer. That's why you can shorten your prayer. That's why if you're traveling, you don't have to fast. He said about Himself in the Quran and about His deen, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ أَن يُخَفِّفَ عَنْكُمْ وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. Allah wants to lighten your burden. He wants to make it easy because mankind was created weak. There are many ayats like that. Many. He says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إِنَّ هَذَا الدِّينَ يُسْرٌ وَلَنْ يَشَادَ الدِّينَ أَهَدٌ إِلَّا غَلَبَ. This religion of Islam, there are a lot of things to do, but it's a religion that's easy. Anyone who tries to come into Islam and do everything, he's going to be overwhelmed. I saw with my own eyes people who were born and raised as Muslims who used to get high, they were wilding out, they were in the streets, they weren't practicing, they made tawbah. I saw people were reverts, they came into the religion. And as new Muslims, practicing Muslims, they tried to do everything. And then after a year, 2 years, they left the religion because they have the burnout. You have to take it easy. And that's why the most beloved deed to Allah is that which you do with consistency, wa in qalla, even if it's a little bit. So what's the point? I want to show you, brothers, some ayat of the Quran and some incidents that happened that maybe some of you don't even know, to let it become crystal clear to everybody here. When you are compelled, as the Al-Qaeda Al-Usuliyya says, إِذَا دَاقَ الْأَمْرِ اتَّسَعَ. If things get tough for the human being, Al-Islam opens up the way for you. Opens and makes it easy. But you have to have knowledge. You can't be like the ordinary Amr, Bakr, and Zayd, who you just always go to the Imam. What's the ruling? What's the ruling? He says halal. You say, okay, halal, and you walk away. No, you have to read. And you go to the Imam, you say, what's the ruling? He says halal. You say, mashallah, can I have the dalil? We have to learn our religion. I keep telling the brothers that I meet from Ahlul Hadith, and I bite my tongue for no one. Ahlul Hadith is not a football team like Manchester United. I like Liverpool. I'm not really into football, but I like Liverpool. Ahlul Hadith is not Manchester United, Liverpool. That's not that. It's what Al-Imam Abu Hanifa said. Abu Hanifa, the Imam, rahmatullah alayhi. He said, إِذَا صَحَّ الْحَدِيث فَهُوَ مَذْهَبِي. If the hadith is authentic, then that's my madhab. That's our religion. So we have to learn. The first issue I want to share with you, brothers, and they get increasingly more severe, so pay attention, is what Allah mentioned in the Quran about our dietary law. حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمْ الْمَيْتَةُ وَالدَّمُ وَلَحْمُ الْخِنْزِيرِ وَمَا أُحِلَّ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ بِهِ وَالْمُنْخَنِقَةُ وَالْمَوْقُوذَةُ وَالْمُتَرَدِّيَةُ وَالنَّطِيحَةُ وَمَا أَكَلَ السَّبْعُ إِلَّا مَا ذَكَّيْتُمْ وَمَا ذُبِحَ عَلَى النُّصُبِ وَأَن تَسْتَقْسِمُوا بِالْأَزْلَامِ ذَلِكَ الْفِسْقُ. Made haram for you people to eat. You can't eat blood. You can't eat dead animals. You can't eat khinzir. You can't eat an animal that was slaughtered for other than Allah. You can't eat the animal that wild animals ate him unless you're able to slaughter it before he dies. But if you come to an animal that other animals ate it, you can't eat him. You can't eat the animal that fell from a high place. You can't eat an animal that was choked to death. You can't eat an animal that he was gored by another animal. All that's haram. You can't eat any of those animals, any of them. And Allah said, that is bad. Pay attention. All of that's haram. And then Allah mentioned some other issues, and then he ended this ayat with the point. فَمِنِ الطُّرَّ فِي مَخْمَسَةٍ غَيْرِ مُتَجَانِفٍ لِلْإِثْمِ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. But if anybody is forced and compelled to eat any of those animals, Allah is Ghafoor Rahim. Pay attention to those two characteristics of Allah. Allah is Ghafoor Rahim, for the one who had to eat this and that and this and that. Let's just look at the pig. In Syria, because of the situation that they've been dealing with all these years, Syrians are eating grass. Syrians have been forced to eat rats, dogs, cats, whatever they can find. You sitting here in a masjid in Halifax, and you're gonna have a nice lunch and a nice dinner, you'll say, no way in the world am I going to eat a rat, a cat, or a dog. That's because you have food. But if you were in a situation like the people in Syria, you will look at the rat and the cat as a delicacy because they're compelled. And if they were to do that, it's not haram for them. But they have to know some fiqh about how much should they eat. You can't take the dog and just make dog curry, fried dog, barbecue dog. You eat enough, you drink enough to live another day. And this is important. Allah wants us to live. He says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ طَالَ عُمْرُهُ وَحَسُنَ عَمَلُهُ. The best one here is the one who lives a long time and he has good deeds. He is sitting in this audience and he fasted 45 times Ramadan, 50 times, 60 times. He's not like the young brother who only fasted 3 times, 3 Ramadans. Al-baraka ma'akabirikum. That's the first ayat. Eating a dog and a rat. Second ayat, an incident, is worse than that. More severe. Pay attention. You know, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was giving dawah, people started coming to Islam. And who are the people who usually accept Islam? They're the weak and the downtrodden. As Abu Sufyan said to Herakl. Herakl asked Abu Sufyan when he was a kafir, when he went after the Muslims in Ethiopia to bring them back. He said, who believes in him? Who follows him? Abu Sufyan couldn't lie. He said, the weak, the downtrodden, the people with the lower ranks of society. Herakl said, and that's how it is with the prophets and the messengers. The aghniya, the mutakabbirun, the mustakbirun, they don't follow. It's the weak, the needy. So when he started giving dawah, many of the slaves became Muslims. There were slave girls who became Muslims. So her master was a kafir. She became a Muslim. Slavery in Jahiliyyah was a way of making money. They used to sell khamr. They used to do highway robbing. They used to gamble. Same way people grind and hustle right now. They used to do all of that. Madness. They would invite you, come. You, your brothers, your father, come to our tent. You're going to eat. When you come, they put you into slavery and sold you off. Prophet Muhammad said, anybody who does that, Allah won't look at him Yawmul Qiyamah and he's going to get a punishment. They used to do wild stuff. One of their hustles was prostitution. So the master will force the girl to make zina. So what is she going to do? She doesn't have a tribe. No one's going to help her. All she has is Allah. That is the real meaning of La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. She had nobody. Rasulullah had people to protect him. Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, they had people to help her. That slave girl, nobody. Like Bilal, like Ammar, like Sumayya, like those people. So anyway, the leader of the Munafiqeen, Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Sulul, he was the leader. He had slave girls. He used to make them go out and make money for him. And then Allah revealed this ayat. More severe than eating a rat or a cat. More severe. وَلَا تُكْرِهُ فَتَيَاتِكُمْ عَلَى الْبِغَاءِ إِنْ أَرَدْنَا التَّحَصُّنَا لِتَبْتَغُوا عَرَضَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَمَنْ يُكْرِهُنَّ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ مِنْ بَعْدِ إِكْرَاهِهِنَّ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Do not force the slave girls to do bigha. Bigha is prostitution. That word is in the Quran, prostitution. Like the word khinzir. I just said it. حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَةُ وَالدَّمُ وَلَحْمُ الْخِنْزِيرِ. When I moved up in the north 15 years ago and I was in Keithley, and I see some of the brothers, and we would say, the word khinzir would come out. Just come out. I would see the youngsters do like this. Khinzir, khinzir. I never saw that before. I said, what's up? Why you guys do that? They said, this is what we were taught. That if you do this, then you will be protected from the evil. I said, that's hocus pocus. That's khurafat. It's not okay for Muslims to have that. It's madness. We're people of Islam. I want you to make dua for me. I want you to make dua because my mother's going to get an operation. La samahallah. My son is going to do an exam. So I sing you an emoji with hands like this saying, make dua for me. Do we make dua like this? As a question to you, do we make dua like this? So to send a emoji saying make dua, this is a form of kufrun billah. Christians make dua like that. People from the Orient, Chinese people, they make dua. I saw a few weeks ago, months ago, the oppressive Prime Minister of India, when he went to America and he met with the Congress and the senators, he went in there doing this. That's what they do. Why would you, person of a Tawheed, of Al-Islam, send that kind of emoji? So from this point on, how do we make dua? I want to ask you, how do we make dua? How do we make dua? So some of you know, most of you don't. Okay. We make dua like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like that. All of that. We even can make dua like that. But that's how we make dua. Don't send those emojis. As it relates to the issue, khinzir, khurafat. Hazar nazar, khatam, khurafat. Shirkum billah. Take the deen, we'll be okay. So Allah Ta'ala said in this ayat, don't force those women to do this. After it's clear that they want to be pure and upright. And if anyone forces them, like the munafiq, the kafir, anyone who forces them, Allah said, Allah is Ghafur Rahim. Ghafur Rahim Ahu. The kafir? The Sayyid? No. I'm the lady that was forced to do that. That's a big crime. Nobody wants that. I saw with my own eyes. Helping the Syrians go into Lebanon. The lady has 7 children, and she escaped from Syria with her 7 children. She is a refugee. I saw in Kassala, Sudan. I saw in parts of Somalia, Kenya. The lady is with all these kids. So the United Nations, the African Union, who are responsible for taking care of them, the guards of Lebanon, some of those Muslim mothers, daughters, women, they do this to make money. It's not for me to judge them. It's terrible what they're doing. Terrible. But I don't know what their situation is. I just know that this is prevalent. She's not doing that because she's having a party, because she wants to. That's the only way she can figure out to make money. Like the hadith. And I want to get off the point that the Prophet talked about that man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who took advantage of his relative who came to him to get help. He said, I'll give you help, but you have to do that. She said, no way. She went away. But she needed the money. That's a hadith. She came back. She said, and when we got ready to do it, I said, fi Allah. And some other words, and the man got up, gave her the money. And as a result of that, the rock moved. Some people, that's their situation. That's in the Quran, teaching you, teaching me, teaching us. You may be in a situation where you're compelled. He's compelled. I can't judge him like that. What's wrong with you doing that? A'udhu billah. Where's your deen? Come on. Thirdly and lastly, and a lot could be said, but this is the worst one. It is more severe than eating a rat or a dog or a cat or a snake or a skunk. It's more severe than a woman doing that. Bigha, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. More than all of that. And it is what happened to one of the weak Muslims. His family were weak. His father was Yasir. And the boy's name is Ammar. And the mother is Sumayya. The Kuffar of Quraysh, they used to drink and they would get high. And instead of watching TV, they would bring poor Muslims. And they would tie those Muslims up and persecute them. Kill them right away. Sometimes cut them, put salt in their wounds, put sand in the wounds. They would smack them, beat them up, do all kind of craziness. And people like Bilal would say, Ahad, 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 Ahad. And then here somebody comes from this community in 2024, 2023, and he curses Abu Bakr and Umar and Aisha and those companions who persevered. I'm going to tell you something, and I bite my tongue for nobody. I'm going to tell you straight up. Listen, if I met a non-Muslim or a revert who cursed the companions, I'm going to be gentle and easy with him and try to get him. Don't do that. You're crazy if you're cursing companions. That's dangerous. The Prophet said, La tasubbu ashabi. Don't curse my companions. فَوَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ لَوْ أَنفَقَ أَحَدُكُمْ مِثْلَ أُحْدٍ ذَهَبَ مَا بَلَغَ مُدَّ أَحَدِهِمْ وَلَا نَصِيفًا. If one of you, if you were to spend Mount Uhud in gold in sadaqah, you would never complete a mud of what they did or half. How are you going to curse them? So I'm going to talk nice. If he doesn't accept me being nice, I'm going to say to him, Lakum dinukum waliya din. I don't care if he's my brother, my cousin. Marry my daughter, because you're my cousin, you're from my village, you're cursing the companions. Madness. Absolute sheer madness. What those companions had to deal with. And then Johnny come lately, right now, new Muslim, revert Muslim, comes and says Abu Bakr and Umar were disbelievers. Aisha did this, did that. What's wrong with you? Anyway, those non-Muslims took this family of three and started persecuting them. Killed the father and killed the mother in a way I can't even describe it here. It wouldn't be appropriate because we have youngsters here. We have women here. I can't even tell you how they killed Sumayya, the first woman who was given shahada in al-Islam. She died for La ilaha illallah. There's Islamophobia right now, but what we have to deal with is a walk in the park compared to what those companions did. So some of us are compelled. You go get the job. The kuffar say to you, you can work here, but you can't pray. And you can't go to Jummah. And they just blow on you. And you say, okay, I'm compelled. Abu Usama said I'm compelled. I didn't say that to you. I never said that to you. You may be compelled, you may not be compelled. If you're at a job where you don't make Jummah ever, that job is haram. Haram. I'm not going to say to you, quit that job today. I'm going to say to you, go back to those kuffar and go back to your boss and you tell them, I'll come in 1 hour early every day. I won't take a lunch break in ever. I just want to go to Jummah half of the day or the whole day. You have to try something. You just can't cower and go into a corner and say, I'm compelled because Abu Usama said that. I didn't say that to you. I never said that. So they killed the mother, they killed the father. And they said to the boy, hey, you want to go? He said, of course. He didn't say, you killed my mother and the father, I don't want to live, there's nothing. He never said that. Someone dies from those who are close to us, so I want to die? Who does that? No, I want to live to see another day, because as long as you're on this side of the earth, you got a chance. You get under the earth, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Even if you have sadaqah jariyah, you want to be on top of the earth. They said to him, okay, we're going to let you go, but under one condition. We want you to curse Allah that you worship and curse Muhammad. If you do that, we'll let you go. He started cursing Allah. He started cursing Rasulullah, making the shatam and sub. They kept their side of the bargain, say, you go. He left. When he went to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he came looking sad, crying. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ya Ammar, what's the matter? If he knew the ilm al-ghayb, he wouldn't say, what's the matter? If he was Hazir Nazir, he wouldn't say, what's the matter? He would have known. قُل لا يعلم من في السماوات والأرض الغيب إلا الله. No one knows the unseen but Allah. What's the matter? Why would he ask that question if he knew? He said, Ya Rasulullah, they did this to my mother and my father. And then they offered me my freedom if I cursed you, and I did it. I did it. And he started crying. Rasulullah said, Ya Ammar, how was your heart? How was your heart when you did that? He said, I love Allah and I love His Messenger. The Prophet said, Ya Ammar, in adu fa'ud. If the kuffar of Quraysh come back and grab you again and persecute you again and tell you to curse me again, then you should do it. Listen to them and curse me. Because you're compelled. And then Allah revealed the ayah of the Quran. من كفر بالله من بعد إيمانه إلا من أكره وقلبه مطمئن بالإيمان ولكن من شرح بالكفر صدرا فعليه غضب من الله ولهم عذاب عظيم. Anyone who's a Muslim and they have Iman and then they disbelieve after that Iman, except the one who is forced and compelled. He's forced and compelled to disbelieve. But the one who does it intentionally and covered his heart, he will get the anger of Allah and a serious punishment. So here, the companion was allowed to disbelieve in Allah outwardly. That's worse than eating something haram, drinking something haram. That's worse than prostitution, akramakumullah. And those three incidents, and there are others, clear indications. If you're forced and you're compelled, you may be allowed to do what's haram. But you got to go to the right people. You have to go to the right people to ask them, hey, should I get this house on riba? Don't make that decision by yourself. Should I get this loan to get my education? You may be forced. Just don't make those decisions by yourself. Lastly, the Prophet mentioned, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, inna Allah tajawaza an ummati al-khata'a wal-nisyan wa mastukrihu alayhi. Allah has overlooked and forgiven my community when they do something out of a mistake. He made a mistake. He came, he's in a hotel here in Halifax, he doesn't know the place. He prayed this way for Salatul Fajr. When it came to pick him up from his hotel room, he said, which way is the Qibla? They said, it's that way. He doesn't have to do that Salat again. It was an honest mistake. Allah forgives you. And He forgives if you did something out of forgetfulness. The Nabi said, if any of you forgets that you didn't pray, then pray when you remember. He didn't pray Dhuhr at all. And then Asr came and he said, yo, I didn't pray. Just get up and pray. You're not even guilty. Adam forgot and his children forget. The last two ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah. Those two ayats, Amin al-Rasul. Anybody reads them at the end of the day, there'll be enough protection for you. In that ayat, رَبَّنَا لَا تُؤَاخِذْنَا إِن نَسِينَا أَوْ أَخْطَأْنَا. Oh Allah, forgive us. Don't hold us responsible. If we forget or we do something out of mistake, a real mistake. And the last thing, Allah has forgiven my community when they do things as a result of compulsion. People put pressure on them. Her husband is a criminal. She knows she shouldn't do that thing, but she's scared of the criminal, the mujrim. She's scared of him. Beat her up, divorce her, so she listens to him. So in regards to this issue, it requires fiqh, because it's a big issue that everybody has to deal with. But if you're one of those people, follow your desires, it's a problem. So you go to the job, and there's a lady at the job, or you go for the interview, and a lady comes to shake your hand, and you say, Abu Usama said, I'm compelled. So you hug the lady and you kiss her. And you said, Abu Usama said that. I never said that. I said what you should say is, excuse me, with all due respect, in our religion or whatever, I don't do this, whatever, whatever, whatever. She's gonna respect you. It's like the people you work with, they respect you when you practice your religion. They don't respect us when we make a left with Doran, trying to please these people. And then the LGBT people, LGBTQ, they come and they don't care what you think about them. They're strong and they don't give a rat's ear what you think about them. And here we come. Al-Islam, Al-Islam, Al-Jihad, Al-Jihad, Al-Khilaf, Al-Khilafah. And everything is, I'm compelled. La. You have to be a man, you have to have some courage, and you have to have some fiqh. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu